Hello and welcome back on this episode of CrossFit Garage podcast. We are going to talk about sleep. So here we are again. I'm trying to help you build a firm foundation in fitness, food, and finances. If you were to look at the CrossFit pyramid, their model of what is good health and fitness, it's going to have a base layer of nutrition, and then the next layer is metabolic conditioning. The next one is weightlifting. And then it's gymnastics. And then, weightlifting, gymnastics. Anyway, I get back and forth, but it's weightlifting or gymnastics. And then at the very top is sport. So the expression of CrossFit is play new sports, try new things. The base is nutrition, but below the base is the assumption of rest, recovery, and reducing stress. So I've been doing goal reviews for you guys for a couple weeks now. So I have basically what I'm doing is I'm asking for 3 health and fitness goals and 1 non-health and fitness goal, putting them onto a Google Doc, and then doing a live edit with you as we come up with strategies to hit the goals that you want to get to. So now we have it written down, and in a year we can check out and see where we've come, see if we've done the things. Many times it's so when it's your goal and you're trying to figure out how to do things, it's kind of tough. When they're not your goals, especially it's when things that I do all the time or someone else does all the time, when you can look at someone else's goals, usually like the steps and the processes and the answers are pretty easy, just because it's not you. And again, you've seen it a bunch of times. So the other day we were doing, what lift we were doing? I think we were doing a squat snatch or whatever. So basically taking the bar from the floor to overhead in one movement. And I was videoing everybody. I had, fortunately, I don't know. I had a evening class. I think it was Friday, so it was very low attendance. It was also vacation time, but I was able to video everybody individually and kind of offset their lifts, and it was a lot of fun because I had actually, I guess I couldn't have been Friday because I had 3 classes of it, and I was able to get several people's individual lifts and to go over the video and show them. And so the point I'm getting to is I had 2 members that had the exact same fail finish, and I said, hey, this is one reason it's easy for me to kind of look at what's going on and pick it apart fast. You may think, why did he do that so fast? Shouldn't he be watching me more often? And the answer is, many times the faults that we've got or the goals that we have or the problems that we're facing are the same across the board. So in this case, in this Olympic lift snatch, we're trying to get the squat underneath the bar to catch it overhead. And both of these members, well, actually it was more than just them, even the other class had the same issues because it's common, were basically not squatting and then trying to press out. And so they didn't want to dip their head under the bar. They wanted to use their arms to press it up. And so I had stopped the video in the exact same place. I was like, does this look familiar? Like, dang, your video and my video look the same right there. Like, yeah, so it's okay. It's common. Your problem, the failure that we've got is seen by many, and we can fix it. So that's the good news. Let me pause this. Okay, so that was funny. I'm doing the podcast on my phone, and I forgot to turn the phone off, so it rang, and my kid needed directions. So this is just, it's humorous to me. Everyone nowadays uses Google Maps or iMaps or whatever maps, and they just tell their phone, take me home or whatever. And people have forgotten how to drive, and if they don't exactly know where to go, then they're like, how do I get home? So that's just kind of funny. There was an accident at one of the lights, and like, how do you get around it? Which the other day I had to turn my phone in to get fixed because I had busted out the camera, and they're like, hey, we'll take your phone. Just be back in about an hour. So I gave him my phone and I walked out the Apple store, and I thought, that's funny. I don't even have a watch on. And I don't even know where to go because I don't know where things are around here. I'm over at the Avalon and I don't normally go here. And so I'm sitting there on the bench. I brought a book with me, fortunately. And I'm sitting on a bench and a guy walks by and I said, hey, do you have the time? And he looked at me like, who are you? And what decade is this? What are you doing asking me for the time? And then he actually went to look at his left arm where his watch should be. And he's like, and he pulled out his phone and he's like, yeah, it's this time. So it's just kind of funny how badly we operate without phones, which now that I know this about myself, you might find that I try to go phoneless because I hate being addicted to stuff. But okay, anyway, back to goals and back into sleep. So one of the goals somebody had was how to sleep and how to get a better night's sleep and how to rest. So that foundation of what CrossFit really relies on is that you're reducing your stress, you have good recovery, and we are assuming you have a good night's sleep. as I'm finding out, most everyone doesn't know the basic stuff. So I'm going to go through the basic list. I'm going to read them off real quick so you guys have them. And then I'm going to go through them in depth and tell you what I've done and what I've seen in my family and seen with some of the friends that I've got as we've worked through how to get a better night's sleep. Because if you aren't sleeping, then your life is going to get messed up. It is proven you can eat really bad food and still live a while. So people live on McDonald's and I don't even call that food, that's entertainment, and they can still live. And you can drink stuff that's really not smart. So you could like not drink water ever and still make it, but you can't live or thrive if you aren't sleeping. So we definitely want to get some sleep in here, and I'm going to walk through these. So spoiler, you're going to get all the stuff right up front. You can just check these off and go check, 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 got it. And then I'm going to go back through every one of them and give you some details on it and a little bit more explanation. So Chris, this is really for you. You and I talked about this. I said I would do it, and I've been putting it off just because, well, I don't know, it's work, and I just kept forgetting to do it at other podcasts I was trying to get done. So I apologize, but Chris, this is for you, and for anybody else that has trouble sleeping. You're not alone. I actually. So let me back up. When I was younger, so what was it about? I don't know, maybe up until the age of 42, I could go to bed at like 2 a.m. and get up at 6 a.m. and no problem whatsoever. I mean, that's okay. I couldn't do that, all the time, but 4 hours of sleep, yeah, sure, whatever. Sometime in there between 42 and now I'm almost 50, I actually needed to get some sleep, and I was a mess. I was falling asleep at stoplights. I'm like, what is wrong with me? I started in the vacation time when we were like gone for 2 weeks to flatten the curve for a year. I picked up drinking coffee, and that was a bad thing. But now everyone in my house knows if it's 9:30 and you can't find dad, it's probably because he already went to bed. I'm usually asleep by 10:30, and I wake up at 6 a.m. I can almost, even if I don't go to bed at the right time, I almost always wake up at 6 a.m. no matter what. I love waking up just before the alarm and getting out of bed. So something that I've done as my mind spins or tries to don't go to sleep, think about all these things, I would keep a notebook beside my bed and I try to jot things down. And then I found that wasn't really working for me. So I just needed to distract myself. And I don't like the idea of just doing the noise, white noise, brown noise, pink noise, all that stuff. We do have a fan running, but I don't know. That just doesn't really, I guess I got used to it. I don't know. But what I'll do instead is put on a podcast that I just sort of want to listen to. And I'll do you can set a sleep timer and say, hey, I'm going to go to sleep in 30 minutes. Just make sure you turn this podcast off or whatever. And so that'll go off and I'll be asleep. Usually I'm asleep within 5 minutes or less. So here are the things that really helped me out. And then I'll go through the entire list. 1, don't drink before bed. So find a time where you can stop drinking that you don't wake yourself up to go pee. So some of you guys are younger. You don't have that problem yet. Trust me, it's coming. The day of being able to drink a full glass of water right before going to bed will end soon. So there's that. 2, make it a habit. Get up at 6 a.m. every time. So many times people are like, I just can't go to sleep. I'm not really tired. Great. Don't go to sleep if you're not tired. Only go to sleep when you're tired. But here's how to get yourself tired. So if you're thinking to yourself, yeah, I am never tired when I really want to go to bed, it's probably because 1, you're napping, and 2, you're getting up at a weird time in the morning. So get up at 5 a.m. I guarantee if you start getting up at 5 a.m., you will be tired to go to bed at 10 p.m. because and don't nap. I mean, don't get up at 5 a.m. and go, oh no, I'm so tired, I got to take a nap. Don't nap. So the other trick is don't ever nap. Take naps out and throw them away. If you think you need to nap, go to bed earlier and figure out how early you need to go to bed to make the napping go away, right? If you're using caffeine as a crutch, then that's going to mess up a lot of things. But I'd say get off of caffeine. And I did a podcast on that. I did, about 3 weeks of getting off caffeine. I'll probably continue to do that between races. But it's race tool-wise, caffeine's kind of good to have in there to use. But anyway, wake up at 6 a.m., 5 a.m., something like that, and get your day going. If you're like, what do I do? Come to the gym. Go ahead and get in here early, get it out of the way. And then do the rest of your day. If you're like, yes, I am tired and it's 8 p.m., fine, go to bed. Wake up at 5 a.m. again. If you can push it, that'd be great. So the better thing would be don't go to bed until like 11 and then wake up at 5 a.m. Don't go to bed until 11 and wake up at 5 a.m. You will get your rhythm and your routine down and you will be tired. So if you're napping, you're messing everything up, you're shooting yourself in your foot. The first thing is to stop napping. The other is, set a time to get up in the morning. I also would win the day by waking up. That's Jocko Williams. That's one of those things. So wake up, get things done. If you can, set an alarm and put it further away from you, great. If you sleep with somebody else, so spouse is in the room with you and it's going to annoy them, well, you guys got to figure that one out. Maybe pick a time you can both wake up, but having a clock right next to you where you can smash it and snooze. Snoozing is from the devil. Don't do it. Snoozing messes you up. You're already losing the day. Hey, my first task is to wake up and I'm already saying, no, I can't, no, I can't, no, I can't. Just wake yourself up at 6 a.m., 5 a.m., whatever the time you need to, and then don't go to bed until 11 p.m. I promise if you do that 3 days in a row, you will be tired and you'll be able to go to bed at a normal time. Okay, so that was me. That's what I did, and I am totally okay. I go to bed fast, I wake up early, and I get stuff done in the morning. The others, I have a really good routine, but we're going to get into those things next. Okay, so spoiler, here are the things you need to do, not necessarily in order, but check them off. If you can say, yes, I do that, then you're good. Okay, so 1, stick to a consistent sleep schedule. 2, create a relaxing bedtime routine. We'll get into that. 3, limit exposure to screens. This isn't just your phone. Well, all right, I'm not going to give you commentary. I'm just going to read them, and then I'll go back into the commentary I wrote. 4, create a comfortable sleep environment. 5, invest in a comfortable mattress and a pillow. 6, be mindful of your diet. 7, get regular exercise. If you're doing CrossFit, good on you, right? 8, manage stress. 9, limit naps. I'd say 0 naps, but anyway. 10, establish that bedtime ritual. Kind of goes back to the one we just talked about. 11, limit the fluid intakes before bed. 12, be mindful of medication. 13, set the right temperature. Spoiler, 62 degrees. 14, invest in a quality. I already said that one. So some of these I rewrote. Anyway, 15, consider a weighted blanket. That's from Levi. You're welcome, buddy. 16, utilize noise machines. 17, keep pets out of your bed. 18, limit light exposure. And this is different than screens. This is actual light pollution. And anyway, so we're going to go through all of those in depth. Well, maybe not in depth. Some of them are self-explanatory, but I'll tell you some examples from what I did to get this sorted and fixed for me, and hopefully it makes some sense to you. So you can stop right there and be like, got him, check, check, check. This rest of the podcast is about how to actually do those things and some practical things that I actually did. Okay, so we already kind of talked about this, but I think this is number one, and it is the first one that I thought of. It's the most important one. And there's nothing magical about this stuff. You can listen to any podcast, you can go read any book or listen to any book, and they're going to tell you these things. So I'm going to save you a bunch of time. This is what you need to do. So the first one, stick to a consistent sleep schedule. Go to bed on time, wake up on time. I know it sounds super boring. Yes, I don't know. The boring is good. So I eat pretty much the same things all week long. My breakfast is the same breakfast every single day. I make my smoothie, which you can go on YouTube and find Andy's morning smoothie. I'll try to remember to link it in the show notes below. But routine is awesome because it allows you to stop fretting about what's going on. Now, something else that I do in order to create that bedtime or that consistent routine, I use Google Calendar. Like Tetris. I throw things in there and I massage it and move it and all this. So part of my consistent routine is being able to move the things that I'm going to do today and tomorrow and the next day around so that I protect the 10 p.m. I'm in bed. 6 a.m. I'm still, well, I guess I'm waking up at that time. So create that routine. You need to find it. You need to pick it. The schedule not only is good for that habit, but it's also, you're doing something else. You got these circadian rhythms that's going on inside your body. Just basically your body wants to sleep and you want to help it do what it's supposed to do. So you don't really need to know much about the circadian rhythm. Just take advantage of the fact, like, you don't really know how your computer works, but you use a computer. You don't know how your iPhone works, but you know how to use the iPhone. So you don't really need to know what the routine's doing for you or that consistent schedule, but you need to know that your body needs it. And if you just do that, you're going to allow it to progress. So wake up no matter what. Don't snooze. Pick a time. Make it a habit. Do it all the time. Consistency is going to help your sleep quality as well as your wakefulness. So start with that. Okay, number 2. Create a relaxing bedtime routine. So this can vary. My bedtime routine is kind of later on. We talked about there's another bullet, but anyway. So the routine could be something like, I need to wind down. I don't need to wind down. So this isn't really a big one for me, but the concepts are good. So I could pretty much go from doing a intense workout like Fran, get home at 10 o'clock, take a shower, and go right to bed. So maybe my habit that is kind of linchpin, or the keystone habit, is usually I shower and then go to bed. So that might be something for you. Or it could be I brush my teeth and that's the signal that I'm going to bed, right? So you want to create some sort of routine that allows you to calm down. So many of you I know have said and feel it that, hey, if I read, I pretty much fall asleep. That's great. Start reading, right? Or you could do like Evan would do before, my oldest kid, before going to bed, he would do his stretches. He had a lot of hip and knee issues growing up. He grew really fast and it just, was always needing to stretch. So he did that before going to bed. My daughter and wife do a lot of journaling. So that helps them kind of get things off their mind and into a book, and allows them to not always just revolve around that thinking. So these are things that you could do. And if you do them habitually, then it starts to tease yourself into, oh, I am stretching. I know the next thing that comes is going to bed, right? So establish those activities that bring you towards settling down and going to sleep. So for me, it's a warm shower. I don't do cold showers, cold plunge, any of that stuff. I figure it took people a very long time to figure out indoor plumbing and hot water. And you know what? I'm going to use that. So I am motivated by hot water. So yeah, no cold plunges for me. Sure, there's probably some benefits. I don't really care about majoring in the minors. So if you're not working out and you're not sleeping, the cold plunge isn't the thing you need to do. You need to go work out and you need to sleep. If you're eating junk or you're eating entertainment, major in the majors. Fix what you're eating. The minor is this other stuff, cold plunge and things. Okay, so create that bedtime routine. All right, the other one is limit exposure to screens. This really wasn't a problem until the phones came up with, hey, you can scroll on me in bed, and aren't I super cool, and can't I keep your mind active, right? And you can just scroll and scroll and scroll, and that is really bad. I accidentally found Instagram Reels. I don't really know how to use Instagram. I will look at people's posts, but apparently there's a whole other side where you can just scroll forever in these Reels. And it is fascinating. I was waiting for Evie again at a soccer camp, and before I knew it, like an hour had passed, and I was just flipping through. Now, admittedly, I had nothing to do. I was just early, because early is on time, and I didn't want her to be stuck at a college that she didn't really know anybody at. And so anyway, I was just scrolling. But the point there is time will just slip right by you. So don't do that at night. Get off your screen. So one of it is keeping track of your schedule, your timing, right? So I'm scrolling. How long did I scroll? Was it 5, 10, 20 minutes? Look at your screen time on your phone, and it'll tell you how long you were on your phone, right? So, or delete that app completely maybe, right? But you want to limit that screen time. So some of it is, one, keeping your mind active, but two, it's the blue light. So, and it's also teaching yourself that the bed is used for something else than just sleep and that one other thing. So you don't want the bed to be a place that you're doing other things like watching TV, like, oh, let's jump in bed and watch some TV. Oh, let's jump in bed and then scroll for an hour. Oh, let's jump in bed and then call people or FaceTime or whatever, right? So it should be for the thing you do, which is sleep, and that one other thing. But right now we're just going to say it's for sleep. So you want the bed to be that. Your room is for sleeping, not for, sewing or bouncing on those mini trampoline. Take that and put it somewhere else. Your bedroom is for sleeping, and the one other thing. The other thing that it does, you get the blue light on you, then it's going to mess up the melatonin production and, have some other sleep disturbances. Just basically know, again, it doesn't really matter if you know how it works. You know how to get in a car and help it move you from A to B. The same sort of thing here. Stay away from your phone. It's the lights. It's the blue light. You can do black light, or not black light. You can do nighttime mode, which it'll make the screen more orange, but you're still missing the point of your activating yourself rather than calming yourself down. And many people lose track of time in there. So just don't use your phone. A lot of people say stay away from stuff about an hour before bed. That's a great rule of thumb. What you can do is start with an hour and say, okay, that worked. Let me try 45 minutes. Okay, that one's still okay. Let me try 30 minutes. Oh, that still was okay. Let me try 15 minutes. No, I was wound up. Okay, so we back up to 30 minutes. And now you know your window. So this is good about journaling. If you write the stuff down, hey, I'm going to take a journey. You heard earlier, I did a journey of no caffeine. So in that journey, I just said into my, I guess I wasn't writing it down. I was talking into my phone, but I took note of what was going on inside my head, the who, what, where, when, why, how, and was able to figure out a couple things about myself and make the journey of getting off caffeine a little bit easier. Okay. So what do we got now? Limit exposure to screen time. Already did that one. So create a comfortable sleep environment. So there's going to be a couple things I'm going to go in here, but essentially it's going to be darkness, some black or brown noise or some sort of noise, pink noise or whatever, as well as temperature. So I'm going to drop into those a little bit more in depth. But your environment for sleep, it shouldn't be things that annoy you. Hey, there's a beeping, there's a clicking. Or like many people in my house like to take a nap right in the living room. And like, well, that's not really a great sleeping environment. Well, one, you shouldn't be napping anyway. But two, if you're in the living room, which in our house, the living room, kitchen, dining room, and entry is all like open. So it's basically everyone has to go through this space, humans and animals, to do anything. So it annoys anybody that's taking a nap because, well, we're just doing life. So find a place that actually makes sense, your bedroom, and make sure your bedroom doesn't have all these things. One that is kind of, I don't know, hit or miss here is invest in a comfortable mattress and pillows. So try out a bunch of pillows, this is an expensive one, try out some mattresses. We recently not recently, I guess it's been a while, but we went to one of those memory foam beds and with a cool top. So it's got, I don't know what it is, but it reduces the temperature up top. So what I have found is now the bed is too cold for me. I end up taking extra blankets and putting it on top, especially in the winter. In the summer, usually as well, I'm just a little too cool. So I think it's called like a Cool Max. I do like the memory foam bed, but for me, I don't think it would really matter. I can usually fall asleep on an airport floor, the back of a truck, or on the ground. It doesn't really matter. When it's time for me to go to sleep, I'll just go to sleep. Now, pillow-wise, I have found that I don't really like new pillows. I like pillows that have been used for a while. So that's kind of a harder one to find, like what pillow works for you. Sometimes, as you smush the pillow down, you get it to the right size. There are memory foam pillows that you can use also. A couple in my family really like that. I'm kind of ambivalent to the pillow, but it is important to have the tools that are good for you. I've seen some people go to like those pillows you can slide an arm through or an entire body pillow. Basically, try a few things. You may not know what you like, or if you're like me, your body changed. So I used to sleep on my back. I would just kind of go mummified. So I'd cross my arms, cross my feet, and I would just go to sleep. And then at 5:59, bing, my eyes would open up and I would wake up. So that's not everybody. And then, of course, somewhere in the 42 and older, it changed where I started sleeping. I think it was like 32. I started sleeping on my stomach. And then at 42, I changed where I'm sleeping on my side pretty much from now on. So yes, you could change. So experiment with some different things. All right, next one is be mindful of your diet. So the obvious winner is caffeine, but there are many foods that have caffeine in it that you wouldn't expect. So just be thinking about that. Maybe even Google what you're eating and say, hey, does this have caffeine in it, or does it have a stimulator in it? Probably the answer is yes if you're eating it and you find that it's hard for you to go to bed. So watch out what you eat. This is kind of a good one to use with the idea of getting your nutrition routine kind of set up. I tell people all the time, if they're trying to incorporate intermittent fasting or trying to reduce down their calorie count or the desire for desserts, is to pick a time in which you stop eating. So let's say you go to bed at 10 p.m. I would start off with, all right, don't eat anything past 9. Let's see how that goes. If it's easy for you and you sleep well, great. Let's back it up to 8:30. Can you stop eating after 8:30? If you can do that, great. Let's back it up to 9. Many of the silly things we eat are at night, and many of those silly things will actually wake you up. So you probably shouldn't be eating those. This is a whole different topic, but journal what you're eating, and you can listen to the podcast I did on building a habit and using habits to get you out of some of these problems. So ritual reward is something that you want to kind of take note of. All right. So be mindful of what you are eating, especially drinking. We're going to talk about that a little bit more later on. Alcohol can affect this. Some of you are like me where caffeine, if I drink coffee, I can still pretty much go straight to sleep, which kind of stinks as coffee is a stimulant. It doesn't really wake me up, although I can feel the jitters if I drink too much, but I could still weirdly go straight to sleep. Someone at the gym said that actually has to do with a mixture of, I'm going to butcher this, but it's a mixture of like ADHD and dyslexia, like combined or something, that caffeine just doesn't work the same way on me. But who knows? Back in the 80s, they didn't, or I guess in the 70s, they didn't have ADHD. They just, got you in trouble a lot. And in the 80s, they still didn't have that stuff. For dyslexia, they just called you remedial. So I was advanced in all the math and sciences, and I was remedial in all the history, anything that involved reading. So literature, history, all that stuff, civics, all those things. Okay. Next is get regular exercise. This is a tricky one. If you're exercising near the end of the day, sometimes that will wake you up and you're going to have a hard time going to sleep. So that might be messy. You might have to play with that one. If you do it right, you can get tired enough and then have that routine. It can actually help to put you asleep. So some of y'all, it might be a beneficial thing. I know for me that it doesn't matter when I exercise as long as I go shower and I can jump into bed. If it's 10 o'clock, I'm going to go to sleep. So I have set that extreme anchor of 10 p.m. as my bedtime, and my body knows it. I am hurt. If we're out hanging out with people and it hits 10, usually my wife will look at me and she's like, do not go to sleep right here. I'm like, I'm trying to stay awake. So it can be slightly embarrassing for me. It's such a hard anchor. But anyway, so get exercise. I typically exercise in the morning. I think if you look at just our gym schedule, we have most of our classes in the morning. Most people will do that. I find that the 5 a.m. People are unique and awesome. I have been to the 5 a.m. class in 15 years, probably 15 times, and it's pretty much always to coach it. I have never intentionally taken that class, but I love the idea of getting that done. So this fall, I will probably adjust my schedule. We'll see how it works. Typically, I wake up at 6, do about an hour worth of Andy time stuff, and then I go to the gym. This year, Evie is going to start driving, so I need to help her with some lessons. And the easy, consistent drive is let's get you to school. And that gives her 20 minutes of driving experience every day. So it's worked well with the other kids in the past. So now I'm going to probably have to adjust myself to go to the earlier class, which means getting up 20 minutes earlier, which probably isn't going to be bad, but we'll see. It'll be adjustment to the schedule that I've had for years. So anyway, get your exercise in. It's obviously, if you're just going out and walking and it's not making you tired, then I don't know. I do love the fact that you're moving, but the exercise that it's talking about is one that'll actually push you a little bit towards intensity. If you're doing CrossFit, you're doing exactly what you need. Some days I know are move days, but most of the time you're like, whew, that was tough. And that's great. You want to push yourself a bit. All right, next one, manage stress. So when you look at the CrossFit pyramid, the assumption is you're sleeping, you're reducing your stress and all that. And these things are different, stress and sleep, but they are tied together. If you're super stressed, you're not going to sleep. If you're sleeping, you're probably not all that stressed. So they're kind of, they go together. What do they call that? It's not reciprocal, it's the other way. They're parallel. Anyway, so you do want to manage your stress. There are a lot of things you can do here. I'm just going to rattle off a couple, and you can, I guess maybe that's a whole other podcast I should do on managing stress. I think some of the easiest one is journaling. The next one would be doing some breath work. And Wim Hof is a guy you can follow. He's got some good stuff. Some stuff the Navy SEALs do. It's just basically trying to lower your heart rate. If you're super anxious, then I would go a whole different route, and that's maybe read a few books. The things that I have seen on anxiety, and actually this would be a good podcast to do on its own, is 1, lean into your anxiety, and 2, name your anxiety. So, I'm just going to call it Frankie. So let's say I am about to, get up and present in front of people, and I'm not used to that, and I start to feel nervous, and then I start to feel a little bit worried, then I start to get those chills, and my stomach gets clammy and all that. So that's anxiety of public speaking. People say they would rather die than public speak, which is crazy, but that's what the statistics say. So you could lean into it and say, I chose to do this public speaking. I really want to do this. I can't wait for the experience. And then you say, hey, Frankie, my old nemesis, I feel you. I can feel the anxiety and the stress that you're trying to put on me. And I actually welcome this. Frankie, I know you're going to be here to visit. And then I am just going to walk away from you. Frankie, I've got your number, right? So weirdly, those are the things I've probably listened to, maybe 10-ish books and a bunch more podcasts on anxiety. And the thing that they all bring together or say in commonality is to lean into the stress or the anxiety and to name it or personify it and then talk it away. Okay. So create or manage your stress, bring it down. Working out can do that. Eating better foods can do that. There's a lot of things that are kind of like majoring in the majors. So the major things you should do is move, eat, and sleep. Those are the 3, pillars of beginning your fitness journey. If you're doing some of the minor things like, Drinking water is good. Drinking purified whole electrolyte water or whatever is gooder. So that's a minor thing. Start drinking water first. That's the major thing. Getting the best water would be majoring in the minors. It doesn't matter as much as at least drinking water. Moving. It doesn't matter if you're doing CrossFit or something else. Start moving. That's the major. The minor is, let's figure out what works for you. So the program you should do is the one that you will do. That's the best thing for you. All right. So limit your naps. I'm going to change that. I should have written this better. 0 naps. Don't do naps. If you got to nap, then you need to adjust your going to bed time. If you need to nap and you're using a lot of coffee, then basically caffeine is borrowing from tomorrow and forcing you to be tired now. So do not nap. If you can fall asleep super quick during the day, then that's a problem and you need to adjust your sleep cycle. You need more sleep. So don't nap. If you do nap, it is going to ruin your nighttime. Like, oh, I'm not tired. Yeah, because you took a nap. Don't do that. Just go to bed earlier. So my advice there is not just limit it, but just don't do it at all. It's going to mess up the whole routine. And we talked about this. So these kind of go together. Build that routine, and the routine does not include naps. Okay, so next one are established rituals. So the routine is one thing. I have, I'm going to bed at 10. I'm waking up at 6. The rituals, I kind of alluded to that. Could be like I'm taking that warm shower, or I'm reading my book before bed, or I put on these specific PJs, or I don't know, I turn down the bed, right? So you're creating a ritual, a habit, if you will, that gets your body kind of ready. So think of a pro golfer or a pro sports person or whatever. So in basketball, they take the ball and they dribble it on a free throw line. They're going to dribble it, spin it, and then they shoot. So they're creating a muscle memory routine for habits to say, I've done my thing, I've cooled down, my body and my mind are in the right place. And now when I shoot or swing, same thing for golfers, right? Then my body should be able to repeat what I've done before. So we're doing that same sort of thing. Again, I mentioned food earlier, but this one is huge for me. Limit the fluid intake of any type before going to bed. So for me, I found I needed to limit it about an hour before bed, and then I'm only going to get up maybe once, maybe twice. If I can manage it 2 hours before, I usually make it through the whole night. So I sometimes forget I've been working on this one, and I'll just walk over, grab a glass of water. I'm like, dang it, I'm drinking water right now. Why did I do that? So really think about that. You just don't want to wake yourself up a whole lot of times. If I guess you need to pick how many times you want to get up. Hopefully 0, but where is that number? So I think for me to get up 0 times, I'd have to start drinking any liquids by 6 p.m. And that's probably not going to happen just because we sit down as a family to eat and it's usually later than 6 p.m. So sometimes you got to pick your battles. And I know in my forced rank of things, family and family time comes before getting up and peeing at night. So there's that. All right. Next one is be mindful of your medication. So yeah, you just need to read the labels. Sometimes they say will keep you awake. Sometimes it says it makes you drowsy. So just be aware of what you're doing. You're going to have to check with your doctor. So something that CrossFit has done for me is I don't take any medication. And I think I mentioned this before. So under this idea of confirmation bias, doctors don't think I exist. So doctors can confirm their own bias. Their bias is, yeah, people are sick. I see them all the time. They have confirmation bias. People need me. I don't see a doctor. I don't have a doctor. I don't have a primary doctor. I use, when I have to put it down, I put Dr. Lee, who's across the street from the Woodlands, and I see him maybe once every 10 or 15 years. And I'll have Yancey Stewart do blood work every once in a while. But yeah, CrossFit and eating smart has done me right. So anyway, be mindful of that medication. Try to get off of it if you can. CrossFit will help you do that. I've seen a lot of people go off of it. I'm not a doctor and I'm not, I didn't sleep a Holiday Inn Express. I'm just telling you what I have seen from my own personal self and experience of other people. Getting into CrossFit has allowed them to reduce medication. Okay, set the right temperature. Spoiler, it's 62 degrees. That's what they all say. My wife likes it a lot cooler than I like it. And with that Cool Max top, I end up putting a bunch of blankets on top of me. But the idea is warm is not good. Cool is better. So start dropping the temperature at night and see what you can get. You can even get these chili pads, which are pretty cool. So it'll chill just your section. And that's great to do. So try out a chili pad. They're kind of expensive, but it could be worthwhile. They even have the opposite, which is a kind of a bed heater, which is kind of nice if you're in a really cool environment and want to get into a warmer bed. But it's the cool temperature that really does the trick. And 62 is what they say. I think I've read that it's between 60 and 70, but it always seems like 62 is the number that pops up in the books. Okay, so consider a weighted blanket. I hate weighted blankets. Levi loves them. So experiment. You might get a medium weight or a heavy weight and then test it out, or borrow somebody's, I guess, if they've bought a heavy or a weighted blanket, and see which one they don't like and give it a shot. I sleep with a lot of blankets. Maybe I do use a weighted blanket. I have enough blankets on me that there is some weight to them, and I'm on my side, so I guess I don't feel it pulling on my feet or anything. But a real weighted blanket can be like 20 pounds or 10 pounds or something, and it's spread out all over the entire blanket. So you're not just getting crushed by 20 pounds. But Levi swears by it. So try out a heavy blanket. There are various weights, and you can get them usually they're sewn into little patches so that the weight isn't all in one place. That's the best way to go. The next one is get a sound maker of some sort. So we still use kind of old school. We just got a box fan and we turn it on, and that's good enough. And also we want to move some of the air around. Our HVAC system is not set up entirely correct, so it gets cooler in some areas, and I'm sure I could pay money to fix it, but right now a $15 box fan does the trick. So I'm good on that. When we're out of town, we use that iDream, that app you can download, and it's got various sounds and noises. Like I said before, you got white noise, brown noise, pink noise, all these other various noise types, as well as meadow and jungle and beach and burbling river and stuff like that. So you can find one that makes sense to you. I typically don't like the running water one because I already have trouble having to pee at night, so that one's not a really great one for me. But try them out. Best for me is not the noise, but putting a podcast in. So I just put the earbuds in, listen to something, and it knocks me out quickly. But if I was going to do something else, something that I used for a very long time was these meditation apps. So not apps, you can download. I think I bought a few of them off of, it was a while ago. It was off the Apple Store, and it's got 5 minute, 10 minute, 20 minute, 30 minute, 1 hour relaxation and meditation. It's a self-guided, not self-guided, it's a person guiding you. I guess you're just following along. So it's a guided meditation. And it's usually some sort of lay down, find a comfortable spot, count to 10 backwards. Now imagine you're in a place and the clouds are fluffy, the sunlight is on you and you feel warm and all these sort of things. So it just kind of walks you through a very relaxing environment. And in college, a buddy of mine, Cam, and I, we had an old tape that we would put in. And so we're roommates, and he's like, oh, play the tape. I'm like, all right. So we put it in. And then in the morning we'd be like, hey, or if we see each other at lunch or whatever at Georgia Tech, be like, hey, how far did you get? So it was always a quest to see how far we got in these tapes. They're like, do you even know how it ends? I'm like, I have no idea how it ends. And I don't think any of us ever, or either of us ever made it through it. Somewhere in there was fill your body up with this orange warm liquid and then unscrew your toe and let it all pour out. That's about as far as I got. Maybe that's near the end. I don't know. I've never been able to find that one, but that was funny. We used that, and we used it to great effect. Of course, at Georgia Tech, we probably could have just gone straight to sleep because we were so wound up, but tired. But anyway, it was kind of funny. So we used that for a very long time. So having some sort of noise, something to take your mind off, something to, if something clatters, drops, or falls, then you don't hear it. Now, on the flip side, obviously, that means if somebody's trying to break into your house, you're maybe not going to hear it. Hopefully you have a dog or something, or an alarm system. I guess you shouldn't worry about that too much. If you're in Cherokee County, in the Woodstock area, while it's not Kennesaw, so down the road in Kennesaw, they say it's the law in Kennesaw. And what they mean is that every homeowner is required to own a gun. Now, they don't actually go through and validate if you're doing that, but there's a lot less crime in Kennesaw because of that rule. And there's a lot less crime here in Woodstock because, well, what kind of country? So dogs will help protect you. I love dogs. Well, yeah, actually, that's the next one. So don't let your pets sleep with you in bed. That just adds a whole extra drama point. And I guess I should have put this in there. I didn't write it in there. But if you're a snorer and your partner is not, or vice versa, you may find, hey, it's just better to sleep in different rooms. And we come together to do that other thing whenever. But the bedroom is for sleeping, and it's I don't know, take a vacation from the snorer or the kicker or whatever, right? So sometimes you can't control the sleep environment because it's your spouse, and you need them to be on board. Maybe they're not really on board with what you're doing. So maybe it's not going to work, right? So that's when you come up with an idea of like, hey, I'm going to sleep in the other room. Nothing wrong with the relationship. I just actually need to get a good night's sleep. So I've seen that done. And there was a book, oh man, Everybody Fights, by these two guys, this husband and wife that does some funny marketing material on Facebook for companies and stuff. But they put that book out. I thought, oh, it's kind of cute. I like their stuff. I'll buy their book and see. And they talked about it, and makes a lot of sense. In that vein of thought, don't let your pets sleep with you, especially if they're in bed. Get them a mat and put them on the floor. If you can keep them out of the room, that's great, because eventually they're going to go pitter patter and like walk around. And that's what we're trying to avoid, is just stimulation, things that are going to wake you up. And the last one is going to be limit the exposure to light. So that's like real light. So obviously, if you're sleeping at nighttime, great. If you're got daylight savings on you and it's still kind of light while you're trying to go to sleep, that can be a problem. If you're in Alaska, that can be a problem, right? So you want to use blackout curtains, and you could even put face mask on. I don't really like those. I just don't like the way they press down. There's a couple that'll give you a cup for your eye so that it doesn't press on your eyeballs. It kind of work a little bit better, but I just don't like having anything on my head. But having that, getting away from light. So even if you have lights on in the house, make sure you turn them all off. Or if you're in your room and you still have light coming under your door, you can grab a towel, just roll it up and roll it next to the door. And that's going to eliminate that light spillage. And it weirdly helps a lot. So being totally blacked out. Now, saying all of that, here is one unintended ramification of all the things we're talking about. If you go on vacation or stay in a hotel or an Airbnb or somewhere else that is not your home, then you will probably have one raunchy night of sleep. I'm not sure if anybody uses that word anymore, but it just isn't going to go well for you. So the trick to that one is just be really tired. So I suppose I should have written this one in there. Don't go to bed unless you're actually tired. So if you say, hey, 10 p.m. is my bedtime, and you try to go to bed and you're not tired, you just messed up. Go ahead and stay up. It doesn't matter exactly when your bedtime is. You need to actually be tired. Now, don't go surfing the internet or go outside and exercise. Do something like read a book, play the guitar, play the piano, I don't know, do some crossword puzzles or something. And wind down. I don't take a long shower, take a bath, something like that. Don't excite your mind, right? And when you decide, okay, I'm finally tired. Yes, it's midnight. I missed my timing. That's okay. The thing you need to do is wake up still at 6 a.m. If you wake up at 6 a.m. or whatever the time is you set, I promise you, if you do that multiple days, you are going to be tired and you're going to want to go to bed on time. It won't last. Don't take those naps. Keep the schedule intact. So if you do these things, I promise you, you will start to have a good night's sleep. It's not that hard. It's not rocket science. People have been going to bed for a long time, except we have added weird things into our environment, like cell phones and the ability to be stimulated, TV, anytime we want. You can binge watch any of your favorite shows. You just need to actually be an adult and don't do those things, right? So it just depends what's more important to you. If getting a good night's sleep is important, then don't do those things. Set up that habit, that routine. But you're like, if you say, well, when am I supposed to watch the show I want to watch? Well, force rank it. Maybe you're not supposed to be watching that stuff. Or, I don't know, maybe just one episode is okay, not 57 episodes at one go, right? So maybe be a little bit more judicious on how, the volume. Am I eating the whole bowl of ice cream or the whole box of ice cream or tub? Or am I just going to have a spoonful, right? So you can still do those things. You just need to be mindful of what you're doing. I don't have trouble sleeping right now. I can pretty much go to sleep at 9:30, 9 p.m., anytime. So 10 p.m. is usually my cut dead time. Now, on the flip side, I do have trouble staying awake. I go out and do a guys' night with some of my friends every other week. And we do have late nights, and that smashes me for the next day. But in my force rank of things, I want to have a fun time with friends that I don't get to see very often. So I'm willing to sacrifice that, once every 2 weeks on Thursday, I am very not myself. And usually Coach Jamie picks it out. She's like, oh, yeah, today's Thursday morning, isn't it? Yeah, you're not going to be talking. So one is to force rank your ideas. What do you really want to get out of life? Two is then, if sleep is important to you, follow these 16, 17, 18, whatever they are, steps, and major, in this case, major in the minor things. Figure out which one is really going to move your needle, which one you're worst at, and fix it so you can major in the major things, which is getting a good night's sleep. All right, guys, if you need help in anything, especially if you're a member. We're doing these goal reviews. I am here to help you. I've been working with this stuff for the last 15 plus years. I've been working on myself for the last, I don't know, maybe 30 years. Happy to lend advice, happy to be a sounding board. Sometimes it doesn't really matter that I don't know exactly what you're doing. It's just having the questions lined up, like, tell me about it. What's your biggest struggle? How can we fix that, right? Just having someone else to springboard off of is going to really help. So if you need help, your goal review will be coming up. We do them once a year. I'll have a Google Doc just for you. If you're out there in the universe, the world, I know I've got people listening in Australia and in Africa, which, hey, I don't know who you are. Email me. I'd love to know how you found us. My email address is andy@crossfitgarage.com. If you're local and you just want help, same email address, or stop by the gym. We are here to help people get healthy and fit, whether it's doing functional fitness or finding a better way for your food. Like, I would love for you guys to raise or grow something. Right now I'm growing eggs. I raise chickens, but it can be as easy as a tomato plant. Or helping you fix your finances so that when you live into your 90s, you actually have something to live on. All right, guys, it's been fun. Hopefully you got something out of it. You got an actionable item. And again, go to CrossFit Garage, CrossFitGarage.com, and you can find us there or any of the socials. Take care.